Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Confidence Strategies 101. I'm Carmen Milagro, your host. I am a confidence strategist, an entrepreneur artist, and I'm here with you just about every Tuesday at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So we've designed this webisode series to showcase positivity in various forms and topics and ideas and resources. But one of the best things about the agenda, I think, is that I get a chance to introduce you to some really incredible coaches and mentors and business executives, entrepreneurs, musicians, designers. They all want to share their stories. And I think this is part of this sort of quiet revolution of knowledge. If we're able to inspire you, just even one of you, with these positive stories of overcoming and learning and all of that, then that's what the show is designed for. And it makes me really happy. As always, we love it when you comment and like and share. We'll put all the information into the posts on the live, on the Facebook and YouTube posts and videos and all of that. And tonight's webisode is also once again sponsored in part by Music City Hit Factory. So with us tonight is a very special guest. I just adore her. Her name is Nicole Moreno-Deinzer. Oh my gosh, did I say it right? Now, what I love about her bio, and I have to share this with you because, one of the things that we often sort of design the show around is the idea of confidence and all these different, aspects. And confidence to me, in part, is also how do you make people or help people remember you, that you're willing to put yourself out there, in a different way than everybody else. And she certainly does. With her bio starts like this: she refuses to wear pants even in the winter. That's Nicole. Now, she's involved in multiple businesses. She's the founder and CEO of Epifania magazine. Hope I did that right. It's a Latina lifestyle magazine. She's also the founding partner and CEO of Alamode Branding. It's a marketing agency. And she's also the co-host of 2 YouTube shows, not just one, 2. The first one is Doing the Damn Thing, and she's also our co-host on Yo Soy Latina. And I'm really excited to bring her online. So we're going to do that right now. She's been waiting patiently in our virtual green room, and here we are. Nicole.
Hi.
Welcome.
You did it.
How are you?
I'm good. You did it completely right, so don't worry.
That was like such a stressful moment. I'm so happy that you're with us because, I've been looking forward to this all week because I feel like we're going to learn something, or I'm going to possibly learn something new about you now. And I work with you.
I know. I'm like, hopefully you learn something new.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be really good. I just, I'm excited to sort of introduce you to everyone. So one of the things that, of course, that we always talk about on the show is confidence and self-image and, your self-esteem, the trials and tribulations, the challenges, the obstacles, but mostly we focus on, all the positive things and the triumphs. I also read, though, that you not only have you worked in the nonprofit sector, which I think really, like I knew we had a connection. And I think it's the kindness factor that we always talk about. And I didn't know that you worked in the nonprofit sector beforehand, before diving into the entrepreneurial world. Can you tell us a little bit about how you made that transition from the nonprofit world to entrepreneur? Because, it's a whole different world, right? 2 different worlds.
Yeah, it's 2 different worlds. They do have some similarities where you are working with limited funds.
Okay.
I learned that. Yeah. So I actually started nonprofit world by mistake, basically. It wasn't planned at all. All my internships in college were in media. So I never planned to work in nonprofit world. It just sort of came because I graduated during the recession and I needed a job. So
right.
started.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And so how I transitioned though from the nonprofit world to entrepreneurship was I knew I needed to make a change. I liked working in the nonprofit world, but I didn't love it. I always say it was like dating someone you like, but not your soulmate, right? It wasn't for me. And so I decided to go get my MBA, and I was researching schools, decided to get my MBA at Mills. And when I was getting my MBA, the first year I was there, I was still working full time. So working full time, recently just got married because I got married in August 2013, started grad school January 2014 because I just wanted to do it all in one swoop. And my husband, Nick, was also still in grad school. So for about 2.5 years, we rarely saw each other. We got married and we're just like, now we'll see each other in the morning and the evenings.
Right.
So I was working full time, and then I decided my second year of grad school to leave the nonprofit sector because I realized I wanted to start this magazine, but I also realized I just wanted to start something. Like I wanted to see if this will work. If it didn't work, I always tell myself, I'm like, if it didn't work, if everything fell, then I could always get a job. Like I wasn't stressed out about that. I was like, I could always go back and, hurt my pride, but I at least got to do it now, especially because I was like younger, and I'm like, I just feel like trying to make as many mistakes as you possibly can. So that way you have plenty of years to make up for it later. So that's what I did.
I love that. But I think there's something though about, even though it was a bit of an accident, like you said, but there is something about working in the nonprofit world, I think, that stays with you. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I see it in the work that you do and how you do it now.
Yeah.
Your heart is in this. That kindness factor is so.
I'm so happy that you say kindness factor, because I feel like the older I get, the more I feel like I'm a drill sergeant to myself and to people around me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm still kind.
Well, there's one thing to be efficient and productive. You know what I mean? Like but to not lose that ability to connect with people and try to help people. And for me, that's really important. We were talking before we went live, the whole premise of how I see the show is really to offer support and advice for people that need it, and they don't necessarily have, the
resources,
or the budgets. And if we can help them with some tips and advice, they can, go back and, view some of the other videos and all of that. So I think that's really important. One other thing that I read about you was can you share with us what your superpower is?
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, thank you. I didn't realize what my superpower was. Honestly, this last year and a half is because when you're being a solo entrepreneur, especially when you're starting a business, you're sort of doing everything on your own. Right?
Kind of like this show.
Yeah. And then, so with the magazine, I built a team of 6, and with the YouTube shows that I, am part of, I have, my co-host, and now with the branding agency, I have a team. So this last year and a half, I've actually, because I started the magazine in 2016, so I want people to realize this. Pretty much this last year and a half is when I really had to start working with like other people all the time. Right? Which is a great balance. So I had to relearn how to work with people, I feel like. And I didn't realize my superpower until Jessica and Giselle, we were meeting a lot for a la mode branding, my founding partners. And I realized I'm very calm presence. And I'm also, I think my superpower is to bring people back to what we originally talked about. Because I realized in a lot of team meetings, people love to go on tangents, which is great because that's how brainstorming is. And then I'm like, but I'm the one that's like, we spent 30 minutes talking about buttons, but really the question was, what color should we go with for the wall? Like, why are we on buttons right now? So, yeah. Yeah.
And that's
so
a great, that's a great superpower to have. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then just one more question, just as we're, kind of introducing you to our viewers. I've noticed on your Instagram, I love going through you. Like every time I go through your Instagram, it just makes me smile.
Yay! That's what I wanted. I was thinking
fearless.
personal branding. I was
right. Like you're just fearless. You're funny. You are so yourself. Like I can look at your Instagram and I know all these different little, parts about you. And and I don't necessarily get a chance, right?
Yeah.
We're working or we're strategizing, or like you said, we're brainstorming and then going off into tangents.
All that parts, yeah.
But I do have a question about I think it was one of your Instagram posts, is what is a soft girl?
Oh!
Like, wait a minute. Okay, I know I'm showing my age because I have no clue what that is.
Out of all the questions,
I know, right?
That was the one. All right, so I have nieces and nephews. I watch a lot of YouTube video, guys, right? I watch a lot because we put content on YouTube. So I actually watch YouTube videos more than I listen to podcasts. Like I'm always on YouTube. So the combination of that and having nieces and nephews that are teenagers, the new Gen Z way terms, there's soft girl, there's e-girl, and there's visco girl. Soft girls wear like pinks. They're more like feminine style. It's basically if you're a teenage girl, what style do you go with more?
Okay.
E-girl is basically just, don't worry. E-girl is like grunge. It's basically just emo. They just took out the M and the O. And then visco is, I always think of it, it's like almost like you're trying so hard not to care. It's like beachy-ish, where you're just wearing like shorts, long, extra large t-shirts, and like you have your like hydro flask. It's basically just terms of people's looks. It's cute that people always think these are new looks, but it's like, no, these are recycled looks. Just gave them new names.
Right. So. Got it. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. See, I don't have anyone in the teen range right now that I'm hanging out with. So, like, okay, I got to ask.
But, and I did ask my nieces, one's 13, one's 10, if I was a teenage girl, would I be a soft girl, e-girl, visco girl? And they're like, Auntie Nicole, you're definitely a soft girl. Like you're always like in pink. I'm not cool enough to be an e-girl or a visco girl. So.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why that really caught my attention was because, I had read your bio and I love, like I said, to me, your introduction to your bio speaks of such confidence. Like who wouldn't remember that first line in your bio? And of course, this is the topic of the show. So I was just wondering, have you always had this, what I see is this innate confidence, like you and I think are very similar. We just don't. Really
I don't think between the ages of 13 and 17, I don't think I had that.
Okay. Well, there you go. So,
I think,
what happened in that? I mean, how were you so different in that era of your life?
Yeah. Well, I think if I were to go back and analyze myself, I always had a good sense of who I was and what I liked and what I didn't like. I think between the ages of 13 and 17, I just didn't have the confidence to actually own what I liked and didn't like. Like I knew who I was, so
it was in there.
It was in there. So, and I've always been that kid that sort of stood like, I don't say stood. So, my God, I'd like to think I'm pretty flexible, but I think that's sort of what always made me stand out a little bit amongst like other kids. I grew up in a very, like my immediate family was average size, like, 3 younger siblings, parents, but I have a really large extended family. And so I grew up playing with all my cousins. My mom's the youngest of 10, my dad's second youngest, 13. So there's a lot of cousins to play with.
My.
Yeah, and they were always around. But I was very much the kid that, while everyone is playing, just give me everyone was playing like maybe soccer or football. I was a kid that was reading my book by the tree, and it wasn't because I didn't want to play with them, and it wasn't because I felt like I was a loner. It's because I generally just wanted to read my book, and then I will talk with them later when we're eating. I felt like I didn't want to play soccer or football, and so I'm not going to do something I don't like. And I'm just going to sit here, and it doesn't mean I'm antisocial, but it was weird growing up because adults automatically assume that, oh my God, is she lonely? And it's like, no, again, I have a lot of cousins. This is my me time. Let me have my me time, and I will get back to you when I can.
Right. But that sounds pretty confident to me, though. I mean, that sounds like you had this sense of self.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you didn't feel like,
yeah. Or maybe because I was younger, like you don't have the words yet. Because I don't know, like I'm a kid in like the 90s, right? And so we didn't have terminology like self-care, right? And you know, like we didn't have self-care #self-care Sunday. We didn't. So it's like I didn't know what that was. But yeah.
Right. And how did that change for you, though? Because you were very specific that you named that 13 to 17-year-old of your life. So what happened after 17?
Well, I graduated high school and I got to move out.
Oh, well, okay then.
I got to meet people that were like, you know, people that had similar interests, similar, you know, personalities I could get along with, right? And so it was when you're surrounded with people that you have a lot of similarities with, and they also build you up, right? It builds that confidence. It sort of solidifies the things that you did believe in yourself. It's just maybe when you're younger, you didn't have that group.
Right. Yeah. And I love what you just said, because it really applies to adults too, who sometimes have the struggle and I always say, well, find your tribe. And if you can find your tribe, then start your tribe.
Yeah, definitely. And then also realize that your tribe is going to change. Like my tribe when I was 18 is not my tribe at 34. So it's
still a baby though.
Yeah. Thank you.
But you know, it's really great to sort of break it down that way too, because it also changes again. I found that it changed for me in my 40s.
Yeah.
And it has changed again for me in my mid 50s.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's just this evolution and this constant change. You know, it's, I think confidence and self-esteem, it's as you're changing, the tools and the armor or whatever it is you want to call it, you know, the tools that you have in your arsenal for dealing with things changes.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's pretty normal. But you're right. I think that sometimes we don't see it that way, or we're not able to articulate it.
Yeah.
Until later, you know.
Exactly.
And were you, you know, coming from such a huge family, because that's pretty, you know, that's pretty big. I can relate. Not that I grew up with them, because my family is, you know, most of my family is still in El Salvador. But you know, I have 52 at last count. If I recall, there were 52 second cousins in my age group.
Oh, wait. So. And that's also very specific, right? Because you have first cousins. Yeah, it gets crazy.
But were there some people? Were there some family members, you know, throughout your life, and maybe even now, that really helped to shape your confidence level to allow you to be who you are in your mid-30s?
That's a good question. I gotta think about that one a little bit. I was like, oh, because they're
and of course it could be different people at different stages, right?
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, growing up again with such a large family, there was so many different personalities, and sort of, I'm gonna get back to her. But one of the things I really did learn, big family, that maybe probably helped in business also, was learning to deal with different personalities. Like I am like, it's switching, right? I feel like all the time, and not just like, I would say probably that's also why I majored in communication studies, totally backtrack, but is because I learned at a young age of how to do my body language without even me knowing how to do my body language, what tone of voice, what type of words to use for each particular person to get what I want, basically, which was either them to listen to me or buy me something, right? Basically. But growing up, I would say people that maybe sort of shaped my confidence, without the question, sort of helped me become who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it would be, there's just a couple, because I feel like my Uncle Chuck, who was my dad's older brother, so my dad's second year is 13, and this was his brother that was just a few years older. He's no longer with us, but he was always just very, and this is just a reminder for people, he was just a very kind person. Just a very kind-hearted, like giving soul, gave us compliments all the time. And sometimes that's just what kids need, to just be told of how awesome they are, to help bring that confidence out, right? It wasn't like these like long talks about life or anything like that. It was just like, you're doing a great job, and like just sort of keep going, which is something not every kid gets to hear, unfortunately.
Right.
And so I feel like that's a really big thing. And then I guess also my grandpa was similar to that too. So my mom's dad. I was like, let me get that. Yeah. So he, like, if any of my cousins thought I was weird because I preferred reading over playing soccer, he just wouldn't, he would just let it slide. Like he would just like sort of bring me back up. And he also knew when I was like sort of lying, because I played sick a lot when I was in elementary school and middle school, because it wasn't like I was a bad student. I got A's, B's, occasionally C's. It was just because, again, I didn't feel the need to like have to see the same kids every day. I felt like I got it. Like, yeah. So somehow my parents, because I remember a big part was like playing sick. I still did my homework, but I wanted to just be left alone with my books, do my homework, watching Golden Girls at my grandparents' house. And my grandpa knew I was like lying, but he never like punished me. He just sort of thought it was hella funny. Like, he's like, you're getting away with this, fine. So you're just here. So, yeah.
But everything that you're saying to me, though, from the outsider's perspective, really speaks to, and okay, I just want to be clear for people that are watching, we're not advocating that children should skip school.
Don't.
That's not what we're saying. We're just sharing your story, and this happens to be a part of your story.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that really, you really did have a very strong sense of what you needed.
Yeah.
Who you are, who you were, and what you wanted. And there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
To have that at an early age.
When I got older and I look back on it, I'm like, either my parents just stopped giving up on trying to get me to go to school all the time, or I was just a very charismatic child and they agreed, because I wasn't a bad, when I was in school, I was I was the person that was sitting in the front row. I was very sweet. I like did all my homework assignments. I led like little study groups. But for me as a student, and again, I love nowadays, like there's more schools and different ways of teaching, because not every student learns the same way.
Right.
I don't mind classroom learning. I was one of those kids who did well, but I just felt like I didn't need to be there every day. Like, it just felt like, okay, like, because a lot of these classes, I'm like, you're just reading out of the book. I know how to read. So let me just do this, do the test, and then we move on with life. Like, I don't know why I have to be here. So. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you are so funny. And you're reminding me of how I felt in 6th grade, where I loved all of my teachers from kindergarten through 5th grade. That was like the best time in school. And then, junior high and then high school. But 6th grade, I felt that I knew more than my 6th grade teacher, and I was miserable every single day. I was like, oh my God, she's just an idiot. And so I struggled with that. So I can relate.
Yeah.
I can relate to that concept of, it's not that I thought that I knew everything. It's just, I knew I was smarter than my 6th grade teacher.
Yeah.
And that was a struggle for me because I wasn't learning. I didn't feel like I was learning. So that it could have gone a whole different way. I could have been completely off put by school after that. But luckily I had, a great junior, back then
Yeah.
we called it junior high school. And in 7th grade, it was great again, so.
Yeah.
But one of the things where I've noticed with children like yourself, like you were at this young age, where you
Mhm.
knew you were able to figure things out for yourself and what you needed. And when you translate that to an adult, let's fast forward, you've gone through high
Mhm.
school, you've gone to college. How would you advise, give someone, a tip for
Mm.
how, if you and I both have had at least one or several people that have understood us and nurtured us and supported
Mm.
us.
Mhm.
But when you don't have that,
Yeah.
have you thought about, or have you had discussions with someone or given someone advice to how do you, if you don't have anyone in your life that believes in you,
Mm.
how do you overcome that as a
Yeah.
challenge?
That's a hard and lonely and dark place. And
Yeah.
um it's I would say first and foremost, you really have to practice self-love. The more you love yourself, and I know this sounds cheesy as hell, and I get it, but
Right.
the more you actually love yourself and believe in your dream and make progress with it, the universe has a wonderful way of then sending you people that will be your cheerleaders. It's sort
Right.
of like people aren't if you give in to people not believing in you and you're just sort of miserable. And I always think of like when I'm at the store and I see people, like you could visibly tell some people are going through a hard time because they're literally trying to hide in their clothes, right?
Right.
They're wearing like the extra, extra large, this
Right.
black hoodie that's not even a cute Adidas black hoodie. It's a black hoodie that has been tailored in 15 years and not even like in
Right.
sweatpants. They're literally trying to hide from the world.
Right. Right.
And you could tell, okay, you're going through a difficult time. In an ideal world, other human beings would
Right.
want to help that human being. But we're attracted to shiny, pretty things, right? So the more you love yourself and the more you get more confidence, the more you're going to actually carry yourself better. And then you will attract people to support you. It sort of sucks because you should get an ideal world. It would be nice if you get people there to like help you when you're trying to hide. But sometimes that's not always the case, right? So really practicing that. And so whatever that self-love looks like to you,
Right.
do that. So that means you spend less time on social media just to get your mental health ready.
Right.
That's fine. Know that you don't have to share everything. Like if you just have a lot of haters in your corner or just people that are just really cruel, you don't have to share everything. You don't have to share all your failures, right? Just share your successes. Like, and then when you get later, you can share your failures, right? And then just keep going and having goals for yourself, like little goals, right? And so by success, I mean you don't have to just celebrate like, oh my god, you got to like 1 million subscribers. Little things like, hey, this week I wanted to sell 5 items and I sold 5 items, right? That's a success. People love little success stories like that. I would say do that, and then also just having moments to just cry it out, like. And if you aren't a crier, if you could drive or take an Uber or take a bus, just go somewhere like in the middle of the hills where there's nobody, get dropped off and just scream out because no one's there and let it out and then go back home, because sometimes you just got to get those negative emotions out.
Right.
But yeah.
I love those tips because they are very doable things. They're not these monumental things. They're not this,
Yeah.
oh, you have to reach a milestone and then you're going to feel better. No, like you said, it's every single day, you yourself, if there's no one else in your corner, you yourself become your own champion.
Oh yeah.
And do that one little thing every single day. And all of a sudden you're coming out, and we get it. I know you get it. I get it. It's not as easy to do it on your own, but
Oh
sometimes
no.
that's
No.
all you have,
Yeah. And
you wouldn't abandon your friend. So
yeah,
don't abandon yourself.
that's a good look. I like that. And I do try to come up with like little tangible things, because going back to working in nonprofit world is I'm constantly teaching myself this. You can't assume people have all like the bells and whistles to take care of themselves.
Right.
Like, so just to give like tips that they could actually, the majority of people can do.
Right.
But, little fun fact. So the magazine was always like in the back of my mind, even before I started. Well, before I even started nonprofit world. It was like still back there. I was like, oh, like maybe one day I'll start something. But when I was like in early years of college, to be quite frank, I was going to class. I was doing well. I was part of student government, but I was also like, enjoying college. So that's like boys and, like it's California. So a lot of weed. Like it's that, those two things. So, but I had like friends that were going to go into like politics and stuff like that. But I felt like people, and maybe during that time, didn't take me seriously, or maybe I just didn't have the confidence, like, or didn't want to actually tell people about the magazine because I was afraid people might be like, oh, okay, whatever, like this girl's going to start a magazine. And it wasn't until I met Nick, so my husband, I met him in 2006. And we, after a few dates, I sort of felt like comfortable, like, oh, like maybe one day, like I could start it. Like, and I was just trying to like play it off. He's like, just seeing his like enthusiasm, like he was like, wow, he's like, that's really cool. Like, tell me more about that. I'm like, oh, okay. No one has ever asked the follow-up question. Okay, well, this is what I think. Like, and so it's been sort of like, I've been lucky in that sense where I know there's one person that sort of gets the craziness that goes on in my head. And then
all you need.
Yeah. And so thanks, babe. You're
Nick, we want to clone you.
I used to tease him. I'm like, if I were able to clone him and sell him at Target, I would make so much money. I would like be a billionaire. So.
And in different ages.
Yes, I could. Great. Some AI stuff, I know.
His ears are going to be ringing.
I know. We have a dark sense of humor. My husband gets it. Don't worry, guys. He doesn't look at me like you're crazy. So, yeah.
And that's okay, because when you find a person or persons that still accept your craziness, then again, it goes back to your tribe. And you think that is a big component is, don't assume that you can't create and build your own tribe.
Yeah. Because every aspect of my life, like I've always been trying to network and get to know new people, and and it is difficult to make
for sure
friends, right? And like also colleagues, and just especially the older you get, and also like you're in California, so it is sometimes keeping up with the Joneses, and then the entrepreneur world sometimes has like a lot of egos, so it's hard to find like authentic, kind-hearted people, and so you have to really put yourself out there. But at the same time, I know how scary that is for people, because, like there's just some people that aren't comfortable with that. But the good thing about shelter in place, though, is I feel like it's a little bit easier to put yourself out there because it's all virtual. So,
That's true. I mean, we do live in a different place and time. We're pretty much living in a two-dimensional world right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully it has made it easier for some folks. I think it also may have made it a little bit harder for others. I do like what one of our viewers has written in there is, confidence is not they will like me. Confidence is I'll be fine if they don't. I love that. Thank you. And I'm sorry that I can't see who that is, but I think there's some sort of process where you have to authorize StreamYard to show your name. So, but thank you for engaging with it. I really like that a lot.
Yes.
Nicole, when we were talking earlier about, all that, well, I just named a few things that you are a part of, right?
Yeah.
And I like, one of the things that I thought about is you're this multiple entrepreneur.
Yeah. I never thought I would be that.
Wait, say that again. You never thought you would be?
No, I think like when I was younger, like a kid, I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be, I wanted to do like reporting, but from like war fronts. I don't know. There was like always a part of me that's like, I want to know like how it feels to almost like get close to death. But then there's also part of me that's like, never mind. So
Yeah.
I had to do that. And you know, I wanted to be like the Mexican American Anna Wintour, like, you know, the editor of like Vogue, right? I wanted to do that. I wanted to, that was sort of like my goal. And I would, when I was younger, I would pretend that I was like, what was that show? It's like, I forgot, but it was, I would pretend that I would interview people. So I would interview like my dolls and my stuffed animals. They gave great interviews, guys. But that was pretty much what I wanted to do. But I, as a kid, thank you. But as a kid, you know, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go to school and then I'm going to apply for this job and then I'm going to work at this company. I didn't know at a young, like as a kid and even in college, like earlier college, that I could build this. I didn't even know I had it in me to build it until like I started to. Then I was like, oh, I could do this. Yeah.
But again, I'm going to point out to you, there was something inside you that said, I can do this, you know? And I think what I'm coming away with this conversation is, I think we do that a lot. I think women specifically do that a lot. I think we don't realize the depth of knowledge and confidence and can do and creativity. I think a lot of times, and that's one of the things that I try when I'm working with my clients as a consultant, when I'm working as a confidence strategist, is sometimes it takes a long evolution for all these things to come together for us. And then other times there might be a slightly faster way to get to those nuggets when you do this confidence strategies type work, when you share these stories, when you hear what other people have gone through and what they've done, and then you go, oh, well, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
So if she did it, if she could start a magazine when she didn't really know how to start a magazine, then maybe I can.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what I hope is happening when people view these videos, you know?
Definitely. And what I hope also when they're viewing your videos is that, you know, you don't have to know everything to start something, right? And also, like, I realize, and I don't know about you, being an entrepreneur has made me a generalist. I'm not a specialist. I'm a generalist. I know a little bit about everything.
Yes.
Because I had to, right?
Right.
Which is sometimes difficult because you want to be a specialist, because if you're a specialist, maybe you could charge more. I don't know. It's like goes into the whole, like, if you're consulting, if you're a specialist, you charge more for that. But that's generally what I got from being an entrepreneur, especially when I started the magazine and now the branding agency. It's like I have to know a little bit about everything, because if I don't, you know, then it's not going to be helpful.
Well, and let me ask you this, because I think it's quite fascinating that I like this term, you know, generalist and specialist, because as a generalist, at least from my experience, it's very difficult to pigeonhole me and put me in a box. And I like that freedom.
Yeah.
Whereas as a specialist, typically you're just like known for one thing, and that's all that people think of you for. And to me, it just seems like it closes opportunities versus I think the entrepreneur mindset is a lot more open. Yes, there's much more risk, right?
Yeah.
That's just a given. So you kind of have to be a little bit of a gambler. You can't be gambling on yourself if you don't believe in yourself, clearly. But even though the risk might be higher, the reward, you know, for living your life on your terms, so to speak, right? Like this is all within reason. But living and doing the things that you love to do during the day, you know, when my niece, I know you spend a lot of time with your family and your nieces and, you know, your family, and I did the same. And I am really happy and proud, for example, that I never missed my nephews or my nieces' performances or their soccer games or whatever it was,
Aw. Yeah,
because I was able to go home and work till 3 o'clock in the morning if I had to.
yeah, yeah.
But I didn't miss their birthdays. I didn't, except when I was
Mm,
traveling and things like that. And there's something about having that entrepreneur mindset that allows
mhm.
you certain things that you wouldn't get any other way.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I think, there's a benefit of being a journalist specialist. And I like those terms because
Yeah,
I think
me too.
when you're going into your career, whatever your career may be, you're going to start finding where your strong suit is, right? If you are really good at focusing on one thing, or if you're really good at, you need to know a little bit about everything, right? Because once you're in like maybe not even entry level of your career, but like the step up of that, you start to realize what type of, for lack of a better word, employee that you are, and what you're good at and what you're not. I think the benefit of being a specialist sometimes is it's easier for people to remember one thing than multiple things. So it's
Sure.
easier to sell yourself if you just are
Yeah,
known for one thing.
right.
Um,
Agreed.
so it makes the things easier. But I really love, like you mentioned, being able to sort of just live your life a little bit more fluid. Granted, being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you have all the freedom in the world. You do have to give a lot, give and take, right? My my niece, the 10-year-old, she it's so cute. She loves that Auntie Nicole can work from bed in her sweats. She
Right.
likes that. She's like, I want that job. But then she would get mad when, shelter in place and myself and Nick, we're working on our laptops. It's the middle of the day, middle of the week. So we're getting work done. And we're just like, okay, during this time we're working and then this time we'll play. And because she's a kid, right? She
Right.
still believes like work, you go somewhere. And
Right.
so she's just like, why are you guys working during family time? And it's like, this isn't family time. This is a
Right.
Wednesday at 2. This is work time. And so having to explain that to her, it's interesting. You're always having to, at least for me, having to explain my schedule because sometimes people think because you could do whatever you want that you could put things on hold
Right.
and then come help them with this. And it's like, not necessarily. Like I still have deadlines. Sorry. Like,
Right. When you were starting your magazine or any of your ventures, do you remember like what would be so we've got someone sitting here in front of us and they don't know exactly what they're going to do yet. They know they want to start something of their own. What would be your like top three pieces of advice to help them get to that, to drill down on their idea or ideas? Like, do you have some, and this is putting you on the spot, so,
oh,
we can think
okay.
about it and come back to it.
Yeah.
But like, what were the, like maybe the steps and the processes that you took to sort of hone in on, oh, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. This is what I'm going to do.
Couple of things. What you're good at,
Mhm.
what you would like to make money from what you're good at, because there's some things that should just be meant as left as a hobby. They're like
Right.
something sacred to you.
Right.
Don't try to monetize it. Just let that be like your thing that you do on Sunday.
I
What
love it.
people might think you're good at, right?
Mhm.
Because that might affect how people believe in your business, and also if you want people to invest in your business,
Right.
or even just take it seriously, right? And so, for example, when I started the magazine, I was doing pretty much everything on my own. And so I wrote most of the articles. Well, I knew I was a good writer. I wrote for other publications and people knew that I could write. But I was not going to write about like parenting because I don't have kids. And
Right.
I wasn't going to write about vegan lifestyle because I'm not a vegan, right? You have to write about what you know and what people assume that you know, right?
Right.
So that way they could believe in it. And then sit down. And so once you're writing out all your ideas of what you want to make money, like what do you want to start, also have that hard conversation with yourself of what exactly do you want this business to do for you in your life? Not what is it, like not is it a bookshop or something, but what do you want it to do for your life? Do you want it to be your full-time thing? Do you want it to just be passive income? Do you want to just maybe try it for a year? Like whatever that may be, because then that would determine how much effort and time and money you have to put into it. Because a lot of times people, they want to start something, and they see this all the time, but really what they're just, sounds horrible, but what they're trying to do is make a quick buck. They want to make they think working from home is pretty simple, and that they're hoping that if they make these amazing homemade candles, that they're going to make thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars by the end of the year. And it's like, that's not the case, because you now have to promote these candles and you have to put yourself out there. It's not like just taking a picture of a candle and putting it on Instagram. So you have to really think that through. So do you have the time right now in your life to do that? And if you're getting overwhelmed by just thinking about it, then it might not be the time, or it just might not be the business for you.
Right. Well, it sounds what it sounds like to me that you're saying is you've really got to really go deep, know yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses. What are you willing to commit to? What are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah, because you're going to sacrifice a lot.
I mean, sometimes you're sacrificing, like you said, you're sacrificing family time. You know, is that something what's the priority? Like, at least have a map of, hey, if this situation is going to come up, I'm going to choose this.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, maybe then that helps you, because this is the reason I'm asking, of course, because this is part of the process that I work with different people is, so maybe the idea is that you're not going to be a solopreneur. Maybe it's a great idea with a partner, or maybe, you know, it's just all these different things that even, you know, one of my clients right now has huge successes. I mean, huge, massive successes. And we went through, I would say, probably 3 months of drilling down all these different versions of the latest project before coming up with, this is what it is. Now, granted, he's got revenue coming in. He has the time, the energy, the team. So we're not talking, in this particular case, I'm not talking about a startup, you know, newbie company, but the process is still the same.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we still had to go deep, and let's peel back all these layers. Why are you doing this? Exactly. What is it? What's the fire, you know, for this project? And if it's, you know, and if you're not willing to listen to someone, the team, then there's a little bit of there's going to be a little bit of this going on. Maybe it's the wrong team.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's just someone that you're just not meant to work with. And then I also want to put a little tidbit in there is, especially if you might be starting something and you might have to bootstrap it, because I know finance, no one wants to talk about, but you gotta get comfortable talking about money. If you're in a relationship, once you figure out what type of business you want and you've peeled back some layers, then maybe have that conversation. Well, definitely have that conversation with your partner, especially if it's going to affect your connected finances. Exactly. You're gonna have that uncomfortable conversation, and it just needs to be necessary, because you might start investing in a business, and if you are not bringing enough revenue in your business, then maybe you can't leave your full-time job yet, but you need to have this conversation. So that way there's no resentment and no hate and no arguments. You just sort of put it all out there first. And it might also let you know that maybe you're not with the right person. So
this is true. It's all about, absolutely. I agree 100%. I think that there's all these different difficult conversations to be had.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily something that is taught to, startup entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And difficult conversations, don't have to be scary. I love having conversations. I was communication studies major. I love talking. And I love getting to know what people are thinking and getting my point across, right? But so don't think of these, they're difficult conversations because we know by nature they make you uncomfortable, but they don't have to be scary. You know what I mean? You're not going to get yelled at or scolded. You just have to have them. Think of it as another adult badge you're getting, right? You had this difficult conversation, so you got an adult badge for the day. And if you honestly have to give yourself a sticker, get yourself a sticker. No one needs to know.
Right. Right. Exactly. I just want to take a quick moment. Hola, Emilio. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad that you are joining us on Confidence Strategies 101. We have been discussing with Nicole just sort of different aspects of being an entrepreneur, from startups to consulting to what it feels like to have this idea when you're young, just sort of the range of emotion and topic that comes along this journey. So I think that there's a lot of people who understand the pitfalls as well as the triumphs of being an entrepreneur. Some of us have really hit the ground hard.
Oh,
and you pick yourself up
yes.
and you move forward, So
I mean,
thank you, Amelia.
I mean, I wouldn't say it was pitfall, maybe it was, I don't know how you want to word it, but I mean, I started a magazine pretty much, I was done with grad school, right? I started in grad school and then took off grad school. My husband took a step down from, like, he switched companies, and the new company he went to, he took a step down, less pay, because he was sort of doing, it worked out for better in the end. He was sort of doing, like, in most careers, you have to do this reverse so that way you could go forward but a different direction and get more. So, and so our income went like from pretty good, because we were making pretty good money in our early 20s, to like shitty. Like, you guys, like, broke AF, okay? So
Right.
And that was a hard thing to like stomach, because we were doing so well in our 20s. And then when you're going through that, though, sometimes, like, let's be honest, your parents have like worried. They're like, are you guys okay? And we're just like, look, we understand, we know how it looks. We're just going through life right now. It will get better. We have a plan. Like, it's not like we just do it for kicks and giggles. Like, we actually have a plan. But it did, like, we had to change some things around, right? We had to get roommates, and we had to, like, maybe, like, spend a little, like, go out a little bit less, right? We were still able to, like, pay our rent with our roommates and things like that. But we had to, like, learn, and we also have to learn that together. So that was like a learning process, or like, oh, okay,
that's a process within the process.
Within the process, right? And then it got better, right? And so we're in a better financial place now, but we were doing well, we fell, and then but we had one of the things that I keep stressing, we talked about this much, we kept having those uncomfortable conversations, so that way we could, like, have a plan in place and understand each other and where we're coming from. So
sure. Yeah. Well, and I think in any partnership, if you're not able to have those uncomfortable conversations, that's a problem. It could be a little little or big red flag, because when you're going into business with someone, that partnership, in my opinion, could be equally as weighted in your life, like that, as your romantic partner, as your life partner. I mean, it could be more sometimes. And if you're not having those conversations with your partners about both, right? Like, I mean, it's just, it really is about, like you said, getting your adult badge. I love that too. But it's about this, it's life lessons for both situations. Without communication with your business partner, how will you grow in alignment together? And without communication in your relationship, how will you grow in alignment together? So I think that's pretty key. Very insightful, young lady.
I like to think so. My parents, it was interesting a few years ago, little anecdote or whatever, but my mom, she was talking about me and one of my sisters to one of her coworkers. And I'm like, Mom, I'm right here. But she made a comment where, like, that she had 4 kids, and she was like, but you, like, and she looked at me and she's like, but you always knew how to figure things out. And I was like, you could have said that when I was younger, so I knew that you knew what I was doing. I wasn't crazy. But she's like, yeah, you figured things out. And Yeah. That's always an interesting topic to have with people. Totally tangent of like, how do you communicate with each of your different children?
Right. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I've had that conversation a lot, not from being a parent, but by being the child.
Yeah.
Because that's the only perspective that I could give. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it is pretty, pretty insightful, I think, to what I'm coming away with. One of the takeaways with our conversation today is that, the more insight you have into yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I think the more success, whatever that definition is for
Whatever.
each person.
Yeah. Whatever success looks like to you. And then
Right.
also just insight into how the world works. So I don't know if we want to end it on this note, but I would skip class also in high school, but again, not a bad student, right? I did choir, I did yearbook, but my dad was also he taught at the high school I went to. And I learned at an early age what tenure meant. That meant my dad couldn't get fired.
Right.
So I knew the teachers that didn't have tenure. See, I was a pretty observant child, right? So
very strategic.
Yes. So I would miss those classes because also I was like, why am I going to take? This is also when budget cuts were happening. Like, why am I going to take a biology class from the person that's my PE teacher? This does not make any sense, right? They did not get hired to teach biology.
So logical.
So I was just like, so I would just go to the library or my dad's class, do my biology homework there, come to the class when I had tests. My friend would get so mad because I would always get an A on the test, and she would go to class every day and get a C. And I'm like, that's because you're listening to this dude. Everything's in the book. Just read it.
Right.
So, but I wouldn't get in trouble because if you're a new teacher, you're not going to yell at a senior teacher's kid. So
right.
Yeah, guys, I was that student. I was like, is it worth my time to come to your class? I don't think so.
And again, we are not.
I'm not saying skip class, guys. It's just, learn the book.
We're going to get in trouble by somebody.
Yeah.
No, but again, see, these are.
Hey, I got into college. Okay?
Right. And I look at these things as, those are strategies. As a kid,
yeah,
you had strategies. Again, you take that, right? You take those observations about a young person, and fast forward, it's strategies that you use for starting your business, is strategies that you use for the people that you're coaching and working with.
Yeah, the biggest thing I took away, I look back in life, is this worth my time? Because time is so valuable. So I was like, I'm not going to do something that is taking seconds or minutes away from my life. If I could get to the same destination but a different way that's more suitable to my personality, then I'm gonna do that.
Right. And it's the same approach. I would venture to say it's the same approach for how you're going to run your business as a startup entrepreneur, as a startup artist or musician. You're going to have to figure out what your approach is. Again, going back to know who you are, know what you want, know how you want to get there in the best, most efficient way for you.
Yes.
What are your strategies that you can implement? And if you don't have them, then you seek advice. You seek mentors and coaches, and you come to our group, our Facebook group page.
Got it. Got there.
And where every video that we record is on the group page, and all of those videos are there. You can interact with all of our guests. Nicole, you'll be on that page and you can interact with everyone if they have any questions specifically for you.
Yeah.
I would love for people to know how, if they're interested, if let's say someone out there is interested in starting a magazine, or looking for a place to land, or you're starting another company, a branding and marketing company. We didn't even touch on that. But would you like to just say a little bit about what you're doing there and what your plans for the future are, and then let people know how they can reach you?
Yes. So I am starting a new branding company. It's a more focusing on marketing and business. It's called A La Mode Branding, and it's with Giselle and Jessica. I love the name too. And we started it actually. I reached out to Giselle, I want to say in April, and I reached out to another person to start this agency because I felt like as freelancers, you know, especially during this time, shelter in place, the pandemic, I knew as we were all still having clients, but as sort of like if you're always trying to get your own clients, you're sort of like a hamster spinning a wheel, right? Because you're always just trying the same thing, and all our skill sets sort of overlapped. So I thought it would be better just to come together and have the same sort of like just collective power. And then the second person I reached out to, she realized it wasn't for her, and so then Giselle reached out to Jessica, who she's met through We All Grow, and Jessica's in San Diego, and so we have been meeting 3 times a week since May. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. To get this started like the right way. We're almost there. I'm so excited. We're going to be working with real estate brokers, nonprofits, and solo entrepreneurs. I'm really excited for that. And so, so if you guys have any branding or marketing or public relations needs, let us know.
Okay.
And you can find us also here on Facebook. It's A La Mode Branding. And then if you are looking just for how to start a magazine, maybe how to start a blog, or just how to start fill in the blank, definitely you could find me here on Facebook. It's just Nicole Moreno-Deinzer. You could just message me here. And you can also message me at my magazine, Epifania magazine, and just send me a quick note there, and I will respond. So I feel like that might be the easiest way because it's going to be on Facebook.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I mean, we have hit the hour mark, which I knew we would.
I was so trying to make sure we hit just like 1 hour because she did say her longest person was 1.5 hours. And I was like, I don't want to be that person. So let's bring back.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's not a bad thing. No, but I think that, these conversations, I hope will continue to inspire. And I love talking to people who are passionate about what they're doing, and you're just happy. Like, I just love talking to you. So
thank you.
I was so excited to do this.
Yes, I love talking to you too. Like, you're just such a calm and like gentle and positive energy. So I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I will.
Well, on that note, thank you again. Thank you I know you probably have a ton of things to do. Tell Nick I said hi, and thank you for spending the evening with us tonight. Yes. And I'll see you on Facebook, So, and Dr. Kat, thank you. She says thank you.
Oh,
thank you, Dr. Kat, for tuning in. That's a nice surprise.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed our time with you here. I'm gonna let Nicole go, and Nicole, you can wait for me or totally sign off. It's up to you.
Okay.
Thank you for your insights and for being so open and transparent and just so genuine. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, Nicole. And everyone who tuned in today, thank you. We hope you enjoyed this very casual, very loving, nurturing environment for startup entrepreneurs, or if you've already been doing your business and you're looking to make a change. We have a whole list of guests that might be able to offer you some resources and insights. So you can always check on our Facebook page, the Confidence Strategies 101 with Carmen Milagro. Next week, I have a very special guest as well. He's joining me from New York. He's a longtime buddy and friend of mine. He's a rock star musician, Tommy Grasso. I just booked him today, confirmed the date. So we're going to be talking about his entrepreneurial journey as a musician, as a working musician. I don't think he's ever stopped working, as the entrepreneur side of that world, and how he was in the New York COVID epicenter of what that felt like when life changed for all of us. So I did want to mention once again that our webisodes are sponsored in part by Music City Hit Factory. So thank you. I'm in the studio and still under construction. And I just love it here. I feel like I'm home. I'm also going to be letting you know when we are launching our project with Rosalidia Dubon of Elevate for startups and first-time solopreneurs and mompreneurs and entrepreneurs. We'll be doing some online coaching classes and curriculum. So we're building the infrastructure as we speak. We will let you know. That's about it for tonight. Thank you again for staying with us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I hope that you continue to explore the possibilities, enjoy the conversations as we thrive together on Confidence Strategies 101. I'm Carmen Milagro. Have a great evening, everyone, and thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.